Okay, so we've created a tower. Let's say instead of that tower being straight up and down, we want it to be leaning. We can do that using the R or rotate button. Let's look how that works. The first thing that you have to realize about the rotate button is that you're rotating it depending on the plane that you're looking at. So for example, if I rotate it uh, in the one view, then I'll be rotating it this way and that way. Okay. It's changing its direction in this way. I can't push it back or forward. I can only push it to the side and side. Okay. But if I go to the third three view, now I can also push it back and side to side. But this is in a different plane. So now if I go back to the one view or the seven view, you can see how it's rotating. Uh, a good way to look at this is what it takes to get it back into order. First, for example, if I view this now, I'm seeing the very top of it because I've rotated it to push it towards the camera. Let's say I want that to be back straight up and down. Okay. The first thing that I would do is I have to put it straight in all three of the levels. So I go to the 1, I hit R, I move it, and then I click. Now this may look straight up and down, but it's only straight up and down in the 1 view. If I look in the 3 view, it's still to the side. So I hit R and I rotate it back up. Now because this is symmetrical, from the top down view, 7, rotating it just spins it around. So that won't give us much of a change. Okay. So that's one way to change the orientation of the tower. If we wanted it to be slightly tipped, we'd go to 3, we'd hit rotate, we'd tip it, and now if we render it, we see that the tower is leaning. Another thing that you can do in order to change the way that the picture looks is you can grab the camera itself. Let's put the tower back straight up and down by hitting R, rotating it, and then clicking it. And this is the camera. So when we look through the zero view, we're seeing what this camera sees. But from the top-down menu, for example, and then if I hit minus to show more of the screen, I can take this camera and I can click on it just like it was an object. I can hit G and I can move that camera. Okay. So for instance, if I render it here, we'll see that the tower is in view of that camera. But if I hit G and move the camera over here, now it's not pointing at anything. And if I render it, it won't be there won't be anything on the screen. I haven't moved the tower at all, but I've moved the camera so that it's facing you know not something that isn't there. I can also then rotate the camera by hitting R and moving it. So now I see that the camera is again facing the object, and if I render it, it'll be there again. Okay. So let's say I wanted to look at the bottom of this tower. I could do two things. I could either change the tower, or I could change the camera. Let's look at changing the camera. Okay. If I go from the 1 menu, and I'm going to hit G, and I'm going to grab the camera, and I'm going to put it down here, and then I'm going to hit R, and I'm going to rotate the camera so that it's opening up towards where the top of the tower is. I can hit 0 to see the view that the camera sees, and since this is just what I was looking for, I'm going to render it. Okay, and there's the view looking up at the roof of the camera, or at the tower. Just for further practice, let's say I want to see the top of the tower. Okay. I'm going to hit 1 to see the top view. I'm going to hit G to grab the camera. And by the way, you can always see what's selected. Right here will be the object. So this is cylinder, this is camera, this is light, which we'll get to later. But anyways, I'm going to G to grab the camera. And then I have to rotate it. R to switch it around so that it's looking down. You can guess just by kind of where it points to, and then either look through the 0 menu, or you can render it and see what it sees. And if I wanted to see only the top of the tower, what I would do is I would go to the 1 menu, G to grab it, and put it above the tower. R to rotate it. And then I would center it on the tower by G, moving it. And then I would render it. Here's an important distinction, though. Just because this seems like it's looking at the top of the tower doesn't necessarily mean it is. Um, if I look at 3, which is the side view, this could be way over here. And then in the 1 view, it's still going to look like it's looking down on the tower. Again, you got to get your mind used to thinking in 3 dimensions. But this is far back from the tower. It's centered on it, but it's centered on it when we look to the side, way behind it. Okay? So one way to fix it is to always make sure that your views, your top-down view, or your 1 view and your 3 view. Now in your 7 view, it is the top-down view. So here you can't tell how far away from it you are. Notice this looks the same as this from the top-down view, because again, you're only seeing it in these 2 dimensions. Anyways, in the future, being able to move the camera around will be a good way to change and control the image that you're creating.